HBO's Industry is full of irreverent, power-hungry characters attempting to claw their way to the top of a London investment bank. And none is more engaging or divisive than Harper Stern. Following in the steps of many of our favorite anti-heroes, Harper's quest for power has high highs and very low lows, and at times feels like a slow-motion train wreck we can't stop watching. But her struggles, both internally and at work, stem from real, deeper issues.
You knew that only one of us was ever really gonna make it out.
So what's really going on with Harper? And is investing so much of herself into this world, at the expense of everything else, really worth the risk? At Pierpont, the London investment bank that serves as the main setting of the show, Harper Stern is a fish out of water in many ways. She's a black woman, the only black woman on the floor, an American, doesn't come from money, and went to state school instead of a target school like everyone else.
I didn't realize that we recruited from SUNY Binghamton.
It's a non-target.
And on top of all that, she didn't actually graduate from college. She made it to the very end, but then an anxiety attack forced her to miss her finals, and so she technically never actually got her degree. But with a little Photoshop magic, she was able to smooth over that little detail and make her way into the world of Pierpont without issue, for a while at least. Every character is going through their own pretty intense struggles, but Harper's are uniquely liable to upend her life at any moment. This high-level space within the financial industry is traditionally very exclusive and cliquish by design. They work with outlandish amounts of money and receive huge amounts of compensation in return, and so generally aim to keep those jobs within the set of people that already exist within that world. While there may be gestures towards inclusion, there's still clearly a desire to keep so-called outsiders from getting in, and they're always looking for any reason to cast someone out.
Because she's brought a ludicrously capacious bag.
What's even in there? Huh? Flat shoes for the subway? Her lunch pail?
Harper, being in essentially every way an outsider, knows that she has to constantly be on alert and be moving forward, because if she rests for even a moment, someone will try to use that to push her out. She dreams of the way that establishing her place in this new world and reaping the financial benefits will totally change her life and provide a kind of stability that she's never had, in the way that so many of us dream of.
Ma io non voglio comprare il vestito, Mia. Io voglio comprare tutto il negozio.
And she on some level feels that if she can really make it here, she can not only change her current circumstances, but undo her past transgressions, the money creating a veil over her past life and allowing her to exclusively exist in this shiny new one she's carving out.
I think this is the closest thing to a meritocracy there is. And I only ever want to be judged on the strength of my abilities.
And paid for it.
I guess.
It's this fiery ambition that causes managing director Eric to immediately take interest in her. They both stand out at Pierpont for similar reasons: being Americans, people of color, having short tempers, and a willingness to bend or even break the rules for their own personal gain.
People like us, born at the bottom, where would you put our percentage chance of ever making that top quintile? It's about 3%.
Eric is also the only one that knows the truth about Harper's degree lie, but because he places results above everything, she's able to feel safe as long as she continues to make gains for the company, for a while at least.
Your qualifications don't have to be a problem for you, because they don't have to be a problem for me.
Their similar natures mean that they connect on a deeper level than many of the others in the office, but it also means that they're both constantly aware that the other's cutthroat disposition could come around and bite them at any moment. So even with, or especially with, each other, they're always on guard, even when they're working together. Over time, Harper begins to make inroads with some of her coworkers, but no matter what, she never gets too close to anyone. Her kind of friends, coworkers, just see this as some cold, standoffish inclination on Harper's part, but really for her, it's about protection. This is a world where everyone is willing to lie and cheat and backstab to get ahead, and Harper is well aware that her position is far more precarious than most. So she keeps others at arm's length, both so that they aren't able to get much ammo to use against her, and so that she doesn't feel too attached when she turns on them. Her willingness to throw others under the bus to get ahead certainly feels cold, but her life up to this point has taught her that people people like these will never truly be on her side. They'll only be loyal to her as long as it's advantageous to them, but will always be willing to toss her aside for their own gain. So this is why she always feels driven to strike first, to try to make sure she is the one that comes out on top in the end. While she does constantly feel compelled to do whatever she feels is necessary to keep her place in this world, that doesn't mean her choices don't affect her emotionally.
I'm fine. Maybe you just don't like what you're looking at.
Harper's issues aren't just about wanting to make the most money possible at all costs. She clearly has some deep mental health issues that she's grappling with. Her difficult childhood and strained, now nearly non-existent relationship with her twin brother constantly bubbles up in the corners of her mind, and are the traumatic building blocks on which all of her other issues rest.
Do you know what it was like growing up with you? I have been living for you from the moment that I thought you were dead. Because you know that you did that to me, right? You know that I thought you were dead? You did that to me.
Her mental health struggles affect her on every level, at work, with her friends, even when she's all alone. But she doesn't seek help because she knows that she'll be treated differently, that is, worse, if she speaks up about her problems. In her piece on Harper for Refinery 29, Wisdom Myha'la wrote, "When you're a black woman from a low-income background in an environment like corporate finance, people are always trying to undermine you. Harper doesn't go to the third-floor mental health services out of fear that she'll be seen as unable to handle the pressure of her job, or that people will think she can't succeed without help. And so, Harper continues to bottle things up and to self-medicate, because she feels like that's the only real option she has. She's so driven to succeed because she feels like once she's finally made it, she'll be able to put all of these problems in the past and move forward with her life. But unfortunately, things aren't so simple. Even if we're not making mega deals worth millions of dollars like Harper, managing finances can be so stressful. One easy way to lower the stress of dealing with your own personal finances is with this video's sponsor, Rocket Money. Have you ever subscribed to something cool, but then once it stopped being useful, just kind of forgot about it? Only to realize way later that you were still being charged? It's the worst. Now, with Rocket Money, we don't have to worry about that anymore, because it combs through all of our subscriptions for us and helps us cancel all of the ones we don't need anymore, so that we can keep that money in our wallets. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. With Rocket Money, we can see all of our subscriptions in one place, so we can really keep track of our subscriptions and expenses. Plus, you can submit a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money can even try to negotiate a lower bill for you, up to 20%. Rocket Money has over 5 million users, and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/thetake. That's rocketmoney.com/thetake. rocketmoney.com/thetake. Money, and getting as much of it as possible, is of course a central theme in this show about investing. And the allure of money, and the power and safety it provides, and what people will do to get it, is a long-running theme in cinema.
Are you behind on your credit card bills? Is your landlord ready to evict you? I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich!
The idea that money will solve every problem, and the way that we can see it can actually fix so much in the real world, makes characters' blind, reckless chase after it almost feel not only justified, but logical. Sure, money can't fix everything, but there's definitely a difference between having problems when you're broke and having problems with the cushion of wealth.
We're gonna lose everything. I mean, cars, houses, bonuses.
There are more important things.
You know the only people that say that are the people who grew up with money.
And we see this struggle play out in Harper's choices. As a black woman who does not come from immense wealth, she feels like succeeding here is one of the only ways she can secure any kind of real long-term safety for herself. It might not undo every problem she has, but the wealth and prestige can still work as a kind of armor that, along with the thick skin she's already built up, will help her stay protected. Or at least, that's what she hopes for. Her quest for wealth mirrors that which we see in so many characters. She sees excelling here as a way to write herself out of the story she feels trapped in, and a chance to instead become the person she wants to be. And in some ways, she does begin to make this happen. She is genuinely good at her job, if often impulsive.
Yours.
50 million at 44 3/4 done.
Mine. Who taught you to fish?
Where you could.
But this also leads to her playing faster and more dangerously, reaching some soaring highs, but also often crashing back down into some very low lows. In this cold and vicious world, Harper feels the need to act the same in order to keep her place. And she's not necessarily wrong, but it also leads to constantly being on edge and living in fear. We can compare Harper to another of Myha'la Herald's recent characters, Riri in Dumb Money, to see the other side of this coin. Riri is also out to change her life through the power of money, but she also has other things and people that she cares about. She's down to make some risky decisions in the hope of a big payout, but she's not willing to put her entire life or her relationships on the line just for a payday. She and her girlfriend Harmony do end up making a life-changing amount of money, but their being in love is just as much of a win to them. Harper, on the other hand, made the choice to give up everything and everyone else in her life in order to focus on not just making one good payday, but setting herself up for life. But because money can't fill all of those voids, she continues to feel unmoored even when she does succeed. Harper is constantly filled with anxiety about someone finding out about her degree lie, about one of her shadier maneuvers coming back to bite her, about just making the wrong choice and losing someone, or everyone, a nearly unimaginable amount of money. Instead of pushing her to take a step back and really think through the best course of action, this instead often causes her to ramp up her more reckless behavior. And this isn't totally out of step with the larger culture of the office, especially at Eric's desk. There's very much an idea that you have to take big swings if you're going to have any hope of succeeding. It's just that for people like Harper and even Eric, there can be much bigger consequences when you don't hit that home run. These big steps also keep her moving, if stumbling, forward, which means she can feel like she's getting further away from the past choices that are haunting her. But no matter how fast you run, things will always catch up with you eventually. Harper's willingness to trash her relationships leads to endless problems, from ending up with nowhere to stay to turning everyone against her and beyond. And in this kind of cutthroat environment, as Harper well knows, there's always someone waiting in the wings for a chance to swoop in and take your place, or even just knock you down a peg for their own gain. When making more money is the only goal, and is held above everything and everyone else, no one is ever truly safe. While Harper has made many cunning moves, her act now think later approach also gets her into a lot of hot water. And this really came home to roost at the end of season 2. Gus, who had long ago left Pierpont, realizes that there's a way he can use Harper's nature to his own gain, dropping her a tip that he knows she won't be able to stop herself from using. Harper, not realizing Gus is playing 4D chess, does exactly as he assumes she would and informs her biggest client Jesse about the info in an attempt to cinch her getting into his good graces, and secure herself a backup job in case Pierpont ends up letting her go in a possible restructuring. Since this is pretty cut and dry insider trading, Jesse bluffs about it being a problem, since he's concerned she's trying to entrap him, but then goes on to use the info to make huge gains on both sides of the deal, making it look very much like Pierpont was actually doing insider trading, which is of course not great, to say the least. It's at this point that Harper's house of cards begins to really collapse. This wasn't just a little oopsie. It was a choice that could have huge financial ramifications for the company and lead to years of jail time for Harper herself. She had been working with Eric on an attempt to save themselves by pitching the idea of keeping them on at the London office while letting go other major players like Rishi and Dan in the restructuring. But after everything begins tumbling down, Harper comes to find that she is the one on the chopping block. Eric has finally revealed her secret to Pierpont on HR and fires her. Though this is left a bit ambiguous. This could be seen as a Hail Mary on his part to save her from the weightier consequences of the insider trading. While Harper ended season 2 in a tough spot, to say the least, she's never truly down for the count, and the fact that she already knows what it's like to claw her way up from the bottom means she'll be able to formulate an even better plan as she does so this second time around.
What if I said to you Pierpont was the short of the century? There might be a time bomb in the sector.
But all of the cunning in the world won't save her if she isn't willing and able to work on her deeper issues. She may have lost a lot, but she hasn't yet lost her drive to succeed. Hopefully going forward, she'll start to have a more all-encompassing idea of what success can really look like. But only time will tell. That's the take. Click here to watch the video we think you'll love, or here to check out a whole playlist of awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. And make sure to subscribe to our Patreon for exclusive new videos.